Well, hello, and welcome to Sundays with Ellay. It's Sundays with Ellay! Sundays with Ellay. Or Sundays with Ellay. I'll come back around. See, I told you. This is not my office, but it is my home. And welcome to Sundays with Ellay. We had a great week on social media. On Tuesday, I had Tell Me What You Think Tuesday, and the poll was, do you hide your books or book covers when not reading on an e-reader? And then tell me why or why not. And I was really surprised because a lot of book covers are a lot more risque than they used to be. It used to be couples like almost kissing, and now it's like bare torsos, and even with erotica, there's like it's a lot more graphic, classy graphic, but it's graphic. And only 7% of you said you keep your covers undercover, and the reasons were reasonable to me. I thought it wasn't embarrassment; it was more like discretion, and I think that discretion is really important, and it's applicable in all things. But 93% of you said you'll show me yours. I love that because the romance genre gets kind of stepped on a little bit when it comes to books, and to know that you guys are proud to show your books makes me very happy. So you did great, guys. Well, you guys do great anyway, but you warmed the cockles of my authory heart.
That's what she said.
So Kate, when I asked why or why not about the book covers, Kate said something. She pointed out that she has her husband pointed out to her that she has a large number of Fabios on her bookshelf. Now, I don't think she actually has a man shirtless on her bookshelf. I think what she means is in the late 80s and early 90s, Fabio was the book cover hero. He was on everything, to the point that actually he supposedly wrote several books with his name in his signature autograph on the cover. I believe he was a pirate in one of them. But anybody who's a fan of Johanna Lindsey saw him on a lot of her covers, and I am a huge Johanna Lindsey fan, and so I'm right there with you, Kate. I understand. The question of the week was, what's your favorite era and why? Stephanie said she liked Europe during the European war theater during World War II. And she also likes Ancient Egypt, which is another one of my favorites, and the Golden Age of Piracy, which I didn't know there was a Golden Age of Piracy, so I'm wondering, is that 18th century? And Brandy said she liked the Salem Witch Trials, and I think Ro likes those too. And Stephanie also said she likes Vikings. And Stephanie, let me give you a little bit of a download. There is a wonderful Viking podcast, so send me an IM, and it's fantastic. And I'll give you a link to that. Also, Brandy liked Queen Lizzie and Mary Queen of Scots. So I love Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth is one of my favorite British monarchs. I do like Billy the Conch too, but Queen Elizabeth, she was fierce. I mean, she basically took back her virginity, which, like, amazing. I loved her. She was a little bit savage though, like knocking off her own sister, who some say should have been queen. I'm not saying that, don't kill me, but they say. Danny's remarks were great. He was saying that he used to imagine having modern weaponry during the Civil War and having amazing battles with a really great arsenal. And I was like, yeah, that would be a crazy battle, wouldn't it? And actually, it sparked some ideas, so thanks. Mary said she likes the Roman Empire, and I do too. Mary, you and I should talk about another podcast. So, you guys are really responsive, and I loved it. And then Mary asked me a question this week. She wanted to know if I could pick one female in history to live a week in their life, who would I pick? And that was so hard because, like, Hedy Lamarr was an actress in the 40s, but she also literally helped, one of 3 people who helped invent the internet before it was actually a thing. I'm not kidding. Hedy Lamarr, you have to look it up. It's amazing. She was this beautiful actress that everybody loved, but dude, she was brainy, and it was so awesome.
She was on that episode of Timeless.
Yes, she was on
that. Was a real good episode too. That's a good show. I like history.
No!
Yes, see, it's a good show, right? Like, what if we play with history a little bit? Please excuse my pronunciation on this particular one, but I've been listening to a podcast by Daniele Bolelli. He's Italian, and he does all these little pieces of interesting history in his podcast in a lovely Italian accent, I'm not kidding. It's called History on Fire. Take a tip, it's great. So he was talking about Shang Shi. She's also known as Shang Yi Sao, and she was the pirate queen in Middle Qing China in the early 19th century. She was a bamf. She had, by the time she reached the peak of her piratical career, she had 40 to 50,000 pirates working for her. They beat the British Navy, they beat the Spanish Armada, and they actually kicked her own country's Navy's butt. And the reason she became a pirate was because her particular socioeconomic group was not treated so well by her ruler, and so they figured they were going to do what they was going to do. But she had a fierce code that she followed, like a pirate's code. Like, if you paid for her protection and you were one of her pirates and you took your ship and went out and robbed one of the ships that was under your protection, oh, you were in so much trouble. And she did it in front of the wronged person so that she could prove that they were pirates of their word. But after all of this amazing ballsness, she's still fairly young, in her late 30s to mid 40s, and she's like, things are getting better, and this is just going to end badly for all of us. So she negotiated the pardon of every last pirate, and then she retired without one cannonball being fired towards the leaders. They literally, everybody said, yes, we'll go to this peace. So not only did she kick ass, but she knew when to quit, and she walked out of there bamfy as ever. So she's amazing. The only other ones I can think of is Boudicca. She was the tribal leader of the Celts in the 1st century, and she was a queen. And basically, they didn't want the Romans on their property, basically. And so she and 100,000 of her best buds kicked their butt. They basically sacked Colchester in London, and they were later defeated. But dude, she kicked ass. And the other one I was thinking of was Huda Shah al-Rawi. She was an Egyptian woman in the early 20th century, and she was raised in a harem. She was raised in a harem environment, and she became a feminist and stepped off a train in Cairo, took off her veil as a sign of protest, and women started following her. So I thought that was pretty amazing. So a week in the life of any three of those women, minus the lack of cleanliness and all of the disease, that's pretty much, yeah. And Catherine the Great, stop, I can't, there's just too many. Women are awesome. So for Show Me What You're Reading Saturday, I heard from Liz, who's reading The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide by Douglas Adams, which is one of the best pieces of modern literature. It's wonderful. If you've never read any of the Hitchhiker's Guide series, I highly recommend it. Ro is reading A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. I love Alyssa Cole. And recently, I've been following her on Twitter, and she's amazing. If you haven't read anything by Alyssa Cole, I highly recommend it. Brandy's reading The Air by Kira Cass. That's one I haven't read, and so I'm going to take a closer look at it. By the way, that book cover is gorgeous. Laura is reading Creatus. I think that's how you pronounce it, and I think it's a series it's by Carmen de Sousa, and that's another one that caught my interest. The covers are beautiful in those too. Laramie Ann is reading Ariel's Antics by Robin Peterman, and Robin Peterman writes some great humor, so if you haven't read anything by her, I highly recommend. Carrie's reading Hello Stranger by Lisa Kleypas. So I love that series. This is a spin-off. I think it's called The Ravenels from her Wallflower series. Oh, I love Lisa Kleypas. And so basically, everybody was sending me all their books. Shane was saying he was rereading Always Looking Up by Michael J. Fox. And that's another one I haven't read. I do like biographies. So all of these books, I have them in my TBR pile if I haven't already read them. And I might be rereading a couple of them, like Hello Stranger by Lisa Kleypas. So my emotional support mushkaba is actually on the other end of the camera. So I'm going to have the great big head of my emotional support mushkaba.
Oh, God.
Anyway, emotional support mushkaba, let me tell you, next week is going to be just as busy as this week. So make sure you pay attention, because they're going to have our Tell Me What You Think Tuesday poll. We're going to have the question of the week, and I still want to know what everybody's reading, because nobody's TBR pile is ever tall enough, right? Right. That's how we reach our cabinets around here, so we just use the TBR pile. Just kidding. Don't stand on your books. Books are sacred. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. So, emotional support, Mushkaba. What do we always say? Have a great week, and remember, don't hide your book covers.